Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now March 27th of 2023. We have The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 21, Beyond Us, of course. Just a couple of days from now, it will be debuting on Disney+. It's going to have a different tone in comparison to the past couple of episodes, so that may be a very well good thing by John, George, and Dave. However, with that being said, we know that there's been a lot of drama happening with Kathleen Kennedy, the Disney executives, and a lot of different changes happening to some of the upcoming Star Wars shows. Let's get into it. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that Pedro Pascal has really had his hands tied for a very long time now with The Last of Us and The Last of Us Season 2 happening. He's also driving up a couple of other movies out there and really gearing up for Mando Season 4. This guy's very busy and he's got a lot of other things Star Wars related in the works as well. However, one big development involving the Disney board, Kathleen Kennedy, Pedro Pascal, isn't the brightest thing right now. So let's really dive into the specifics and exactly why Pedro Pascal was fired from a specific Star Wars project that a lot of fans may find to be very surprising. Now, this may or may not be a good thing to a lot of fans out there. You'll be able to decide for yourselves. So let's get into the actual details about this and the actual specifics about what really happened. Now, as you all know, shows such as The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew have been going through a lot of different changes, a lot of different reshoots and rewrites and all the like that's been making the production very much drama-driven and toxic in nature. However, of course, with Disney executives now endlessly having meetings about how to handle Star Wars down the road, it's noted that one of the recent developments involving Skeleton Crew concerns actor Pedro Pascal, after he was let go and fired by Kathleen Kennedy from one of the big Star Wars projects that may come across as one of Kathleen Kennedy's biggest mistakes. Now, it's described that recently Kathleen Kennedy fired Pedro Pascal from one of her upcoming Star Wars TV shows where he was supposed to make a glorified cameo in Skeleton Crew. After many of the reshoots have started just a couple of days ago, Pedro was originally supposed to take part in a big scene where Grogu and Din Djarin were going to come in and save the children from one of the new foes, who goes by the name of Zephyr. The scene was going to include a moment in which Zephyr was going to fight Din Djarin, where Zephyr is said to actually be a new bounty hunter created by Kathleen Kennedy and John Watts for Skeleton Crew. However, now Kennedy is officially erasing Din Djarin and any scenes that Pedro shot for Skeleton Crew and decided to fire Pedro from making any appearances in Skeleton Crew at all. Pedro is still being paid appropriately, however, but his time acting for the role will no longer be making an appearance. Kennedy's decision to fire Pascal was pressed on her by the Disney board members and the executives who believed that they needed to dial down on all the Grogu appearances and Din Djarin appearances, and that some Disney executives believe that too much Grogu is a bad thing for Disney Star Wars right now, and even Din Djarin. So let me stop right here for 1 second. Now, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have even initiated this in the beginning, or to begin with, if you thought that using Grogu or Din Djarin too much would have been a little bit tiresome for the fans. I would have just, driven that away from the Skeleton Crew right from the get-go. However, that brings us to what's been going on now with Pedro Pascal. So, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Skeleton Crew is a Mandoverse era project by John Watts. We're not quite sure exactly where it takes place specifically, either in between Book of Boba and Mando, or if it's going to take place after Mando Season 3. We're not quite sure about that just yet. We do know, however, that it is going to involve the pirates that you do see in Mando Season 3. So it's very likely that it takes place right around that scope of Mando Season 3's time. Either before, during, or after, right? So, the thing about Pedro getting let go as Din Djarin and getting fired from Skeleton Crew, it's not a huge surprise. I can somewhat maybe understand why Disney would want to dial back on all the Grogu appearances and all the Din Djarin appearances, but I don't think it's fair to Pedro that he would come on board of a show like Skeleton Crew, do all that hard work, and then just to get fired immediately. Now, it may be a blessing in disguise. I think that overusing his character may be a bit too much. They already did that, by the way, in the Book of Boba Fett, where the appearance actually took shift away from Boba Fett. However, we gotta also remember that this may have been a good thing as well, because this is a Kathleen Kennedy-driven project. This series is said to be very lackluster, having no spirit at all related to Star Wars or to George Lucas, so maybe having Din in there would have been a good thing to drive away fans from, you know, the very lackluster writing and cinema of Skeleton Crew. So, it's a big mess right now. We do know that Skeleton Crew has been the most toxic production under Disney Star Wars history. However, on to the next thing here is that this was a actual last-minute decision in response to The Mandalorian Season 3, where many fans are reportedly growing tired of Grogu in this particular season. Disney forced Kennedy to fire Pascal from Skeleton Crew and gave her an ultimatum that if she did not let him go, they would dial back on more marketing for the series. Pedro was described to be upset hearing the news that this, of course, 3 weeks of filming that he actually took part in went to a waste for the show. His appearance will be replaced with another bounty hunter hero, saving the children from Zephyr. Now, I would like to ask you guys quickly, what do you think about Grogu and his appearances in The Mandalorian and in all these different Star Wars projects? Are they overusing Grogu? Are they not overusing Grogu? This is something that I would love to hear from the fans out there to get an idea or an average of what the fans really think about that. Now, like I say, I think that Mando Season 3 in particular, they may just be doing a little bit too much Grogu in each and every episode. I think that they do, yes, need to kind of water it down just a little bit. I'm not saying you have to exclude Grogu completely, but I feel that the money shots in each and every episode are getting a little bit too much. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But that's exactly what they are responding to. Disney executives feel that the whole Din and Grogu thing is getting overused, so they deleted it from Skeleton Crew altogether, and they forced Kathleen Kennedy to do this. So, Pedro getting fired from this project in particular may or may not have been a good thing. It's really hard to say. You know, after all, it may have been something good, because, you know, it kind of dials things down and kind of doesn't overuse the whole Din and Grogu thing. However, it could have also been a good thing to actually keep him in there, because this show may very well be a disaster where an appearance by Din may have very well saved the show. So, I digress. You know, the thing about this too is that the Skeleton Crew is dialing back on their budget. It's not going to have as much, high production value in there. They're really dialing back on the marketing as well. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this below. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.